Welcome to Filmi Ladies. Today we are going to have a spoiler intensive discussion of Stree 2. Whose head would you like to hold up as a weapon?
Akshay Kumar's because he's annoying.
I didn't think about this answer ahead of time. I just thought of it a few minutes ago. But I don't know. Like I feel like like Amrish Puri, obviously, Madan Puri.
Uh,
I'm gonna go one of those guys, Ajit, one of those
right.
guys.
Raza Murad is a good one.
Oh, he's still alive though.
Oh, this is true. Well, Akshay Kumar is alive too.
That's true.
You're in a very murderous mood today, Beth.
I if I sound funny or if I start to sound funny, there's something in the allergy world today that is just knocking me out. Like it's 5 o'clock p.m. and I'm already like, let's go to bed now.
To quote Pankaj Tripathi, I think there is Mayavi Shakti brewing, and that's what's taking you down. I don't think it's allergies, Beth.
But
I
we
think
are
it's Mayavi Shakti.
but we are in red in alliance with Stree.
Yes.
Uh I would just want to start this by saying I was very scared for the first few minutes because I'm a scaredy cat. And I took a friend with me who does like Bollywood, but hasn't watched any for quite some time. So, I got to introduce her to like everyone in this film. She didn't know who any of these people were because she hasn't really watched much since like 2008. Because she's like had kids and doesn't have time to watch movies and stuff. But she was like, I thought you said this wouldn't be too scary. I'm like, I promise, I'm sure it won't be. I haven't seen it. I haven't read anything about it, but I'm sure it won't be too scary. But we got through it. And after about 10 minutes, I was used to it again, and then I was fine. So if you are a little
Okay.
bit of a chicken like me, I do think you can handle this movie. I don't think it's any scarier than the first one. I just
No.
kind of have forgotten some about the first one.
Yeah. I know when you because I saw the evening show was three. I went for the 5:45 p.m. show. And when you told me you were gonna watch it at like 9:45 the next morning, I was like, but it's a horror film. Why are you watching it in the morning? It needs to be dark out. And I was like,
No,
oh, but it's
ma'am.
Beth.
No, ma'am. I want to enter the cinema in broad daylight and leave the cinema in broad daylight so that everything is, and it worked because I had no scary dreams about headless Rajput
Person, yeah, headless
in
king.
horrible men. I don't
Sarkata.
know.
We'll just call him Sarkata.
Yeah.
Um,
So talk to me about what you think worked really well in Stree 2.
Oh my God. I just thought it was so funny.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, there was the horror element, but what made Stree so much fun for me in the first place, and also Bhediya. I mean,
Yeah.
this whole like Maddock verse is really working for me because, yes, it's horror, but it's also so hilarious. And Rajkumar Rao is a hoot.
A hoot.
Abhishek Banerjee is a hoot.
Star of the
Um,
show for me was
so
him.
good,
So
Jana.
good.
Poor
So
Jana.
good. Poor Jenna.
He deserves better friends, though. I gotta say, justice for Jana.
I mean, at least he's friends with a werewolf now.
This is true. Baski will take care of him. And
Yeah.
Baski's family, isn't he his cousin in Bhediya? Yeah. Varun Dhawan is technically his
Hmm.
cousin. So he's like even a step further than that. But yeah, Apar Shakti Khurana was funny. Pankaj
Uh,
Tripathi was funny. Just the four of them, that quartet just had me
yeah.
laughing. And
Yeah.
I was full on like having belly laughs during that scene that the two of them are on the motorcycles and they're running and the headless creature is like chasing them and Pankaj Tripathi is like screaming things at Abhishek Banerjee to throw at it, like throw the alcohol at him, throw the fire on him, and the head catches fire. It was
It was
hilarious.
good.
And then the scene in the elephant where they can't see where they're going, so they keep going in circles. Um, just the comedic part of it alone was so good to me, where to the point where I was like, the horror was just the cherry on top. I mean, I love
Yeah.
horror; it's my
Yeah.
favorite genre. But the horror comedy really worked for me. And you know what was really shocking? And this is what I said to my husband when we exited the film. As you know, I love to cry. And this movie actually made me tear up in some of the scenes that
Yeah.
Rajkumar Rao had. I was
Yeah.
not expecting to
No.
sob,
No.
but he is such a good actor. And in the scenes where he's like, the man's face, I swear to God, is Quicksilver.
So elastic and all. I love it.
So
Yeah.
good, like when he had those
Yeah.
close-ups and in his like his expressions you can see sadness but also surprise but also hope but also despair but also unrequited love. Like he literally made me sob when during his more like romantic moments. So I was not expecting the romantic angle to be
Mm.
as good as I actually wasn't even expecting that stronger romantic angle. So that really surprised me. So this movie really worked for me. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
about you?
Yeah, I loved basically everything.
Yeah.
And I thought, when they kind of, so again, spoilers are coming now, back out now, if you don't want to know about cameos and the basic shape of the film, plus some details. Um, as it seemed that we were shifting away from emphasis on Stree, I was a
Mm,
little sad because I liked the feminist angle of the first one, but then they brought it back around and it
yeah.
was really satisfying. Maybe the metaphors were a little heavy-handed at
They were
times,
very heavy-handed.
but because I agreed with the principles, and they did move along fairly well, like they didn't linger too long and get too preachy about anything. I was okay with it, but
Yeah.
it was a little heavier handed than it needed to be about the message, I thought, but
Hmm.
it's okay. I mean, it moved
Yeah.
along. I'm not going to call it breezy exactly, but there was always something happening. Someone new would appear to pay attention to and kind of figure out what their deal was.
Hmm.
Watching what the women in town were up to was really interesting. Did you buy the concept of Vicky Rajkumar Rao's character as the town savior? I was a little not on board with that.
Not really. But
Yeah,
you know the scene where all the women kind of like almost like kidnap him
yeah,
and they take him to that like
yeah,
Sunsan area
yeah,
and they're like garlanding him and everything.
yeah.
I don't know if even those women really think of him as the savior, but it's
No,
kind of like you're the best we've got, and you know what, we're gonna run with it. And if they end up scapegoating him, they don't really care because they just want someone to like get the job done.
yeah,
To some extent, it reminded me a little bit of the same shit that the quartet, like the trio, keep pulling on Jenna, on Abhishek
yeah,
Banerjee, where
yeah,
they keep like pushing him in the front. Like I was
yeah,
like, with friends like these. Um, so it's kind of the same thing. I thought, I don't really believe that he's kind of like sort of the chosen one, but even if he were the chosen one, I do think it would be funny to have someone who is so like cowardly and shy and literally works as a tailor.
yeah.
um there was like a sweetness to that, and he's also smart enough. Like
Mhm.
I feel like Apar Shakti Khurana's character could never be that guy because
No,
he's too dumb for that.
yeah.
And then Jana wouldn't work because Jana is also not as quick-witted as Rajkumar Rao is, and then Pankaj Tripathi is just this like
Mm.
lovely person. um so
Although Jana is the one who really saved the day at the end with his plan B, like
he did, but he's just like he's also very like naive. Like you know
he,
how they're like taking advantage of him
yeah,
basically, and they're like, "Oh, look, a rainbow," and he's like, "Where's the rainbow?" And they
it's
just like
nighttime.
disappear. I was like, "Poor Jenna."
He flusters too easily. Like they all
He does.
fluster easily, but he flusters the most easily, I think,
He
which is why
does.
probably he doesn't work as a hero. Did you think
Yeah.
that so one aspect of this metaphor is that really all it takes to descend into an even more horrible patriarchal hellscape than what we have is for decent men to stop paying attention and to let
Yes.
someone brainwash them. Okay, there's that
Yes.
side. And then on the flip, there's kind of what it takes to overthrow that is for a few decent men to stand up to it. And
Right.
if that's what the film was saying, which I think it was, I'm not sure I quite am on board with that because the legions of women,
Hmm.
I wanted them to have kind of more to do in the
Yeah.
finale brawl because we do, and again, spoiler, uh, Shraddha's character is the daughter of the Stree, as we find out from myth. I did not remember that myth from the first one, but it was nicely laid out here. Even if they retrofitted it, it worked great, I thought. And she calls for her mother, and there's this like heartrending ma, and then Stree comes and defeats the
Hmm.
the big bad. And I kind of wish more of the women had been involved in that because I
Yeah.
think that's actually what it's going to take to societally
Yeah.
overthrow the horrible, lecherous, gross, hypocritical men.
Yeah.
Um, so that was a little disappointing to me, but especially because we did see the women acting as a unit to kind of get the heroes set up, but then they didn't do anything else except
Hmm.
take their rightful place as the curse was lifted.
Right.
But yeah, I want a little more for the rest of the women in town, I guess. But
I wanted a little more from them also. But I also appreciated the fact that in this movie, the men kind of like stood up to
Hmm.
not stood up. What is the word I'm looking for? They kind of like rose to the occasion,
Yes.
because I feel like there's so many movies where it's always the women who take on the burden of like solving all the problems and doing all the good things and
Hmm.
stuff like that, and men are just basically just like sitting around because it
Yeah.
doesn't affect them.
Yeah.
And so the fact that these were men who actually cared, and here's the thing, right, like Sarkara doesn't just affect the women, though he is affecting you too, just as
Right.
patriarchy doesn't
Right.
just hurt women, it hurts everyone.
Right.
So I kind of like that aspect, that they were actually standing up for it, but then I would have liked more women involved as well. I did think it was sweet of Tamanna's character, in that very blink and miss it role that she had, where she kind of, in a way, acted like a hero. She
Yeah.
basically agreed to come, even though she would be in danger,
Distract.
and she was in danger.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I agree with you. A little more, involvement from the women would have been nice. But also, this movie had way too many songs,
Oh.
and I felt like it had way too many songs, and if they had just cut some of that, they could have added in what you're talking about.
I thought the love song with the pedals and everything was a miss. I did not care for that one at all.
Yeah.
Um,
It was also very like unhummable. Like I've already forgotten the tune.
yeah.
And then the whole Tamanna Bhatia dance number, we did not need all of that either. Like, what was that
I
about?
so as soon as he said he was going to go find his old love or whatever, I'm like, oh, here comes an amazing cameo. Who will it be? Who will
Yeah.
it be? And I was like, it's going to be Shilpa Shetty or it's going to be, Urmila and then it was Tamina, who I like, but I was like, oh, that's not where I saw that going. Okay.
Yeah.
And my friend said, is she famous? I said, yeah, she is. Just not, she's not as much in Hindi movies, but yeah, she's
Yeah.
very famous. But kind of
Also,
wanted a little more there and also just maybe some more exciting choreography for her. It was a
yeah.
little weak. I mean, not horrible, but a little weak.
Right. Also, I know nothing about Tamanna because I don't watch South Indian films, so I literally do not know her from anything. I've just seen a few clips of her like here and there, and the woman's face does not move
Well,
at
you saw
all.
her in Lust Stories too.
Yes, but I've already forgotten it. Like I've already
Okay.
forgotten her,
Yeah.
and also I remember disliking her story in that.
Okay.
Like her,
Yeah.
and who was the hero in that? I forgot. But that was like a very weak one for me in that one. But her face does not move at all, Beth. Like when she was like talking to Pankaj Tripathi, I mean, that is some terrible, terrible Botox that I think she has possibly done, because there was not one expression on her face. And I don't know, has she always been like that? Why is Tamanna a
I don't
big deal?
know.
I
I
don't
don't know.
understand. I want our subscribers to tell me, is she a big deal?
Or
I mean,
should
I
she
know
be a
she's
big
a big,
deal?
should she be a big deal? Was she a big deal before the Botox ruined her? I don't know. And then the movie ended with two songs back to back. Why?
And
And they were both
unfortunately, the
bad.
one featuring Varun, I thought was
It was
no, did
terrible.
not like.
Did not like that one at all. But I didn't like the one with Rajkumar Rao either. Like it was
I
okay. Like
liked it
just
okay.
it
I
was too
wanted
long.
I wanted something like that. And I was so since my friend did not know who Varun Dhawan is, and I was like,
Oh
"Oh,
yeah.
you're gonna love him. He dances. He's a good dancer." She's like, "Is he gonna come dance in this song?" I'm like, "I bet he will." And I was like, "Oh,
I loved when we saw Varun Dhawan. I like practically squealed a little
I
bit
was so
because I
happy."
knew it was coming. Like when they like opened Jana's room and they saw the wolf and they were like, "What the heck?" And I was like, it's Busky, it's Busky. And I
I'm
was
such a dum
expecting
dum.
that.
I did not expect the wolf. I did not. I forgot that the wolf might reappear. I was excited to see it, and then I just figured it was over.
I
So
was
easy to fool.
hoping for that because
It's
like
great.
the whole point of coming up with this like horror verse that Maddock is doing is to have these kind of crossovers happening, right?
Sure.
Like so I was hoping that they would do it. I wasn't sure that they would, but if they hadn't, I would be so disappointed because I loved Bhediya and I
Yeah.
also really like Varun Dhawan. So I was
Yeah.
hoping for that. And also it makes sense because Jana is actually Bhaskar's cousin
Yeah.
in Bhediya. So that was very exciting when someone was like, oh, he's gonna have a part to
Yeah.
play. And then later on, when I saw Varun Dhawan, I was like, yeah, we in business.
That
It
was
was
nice.
good. It was
That
good
was
to
nice.
see. Yeah.
Let's finish out the cameo conversation. Akshay Kumar, it sounds like you are not. I was pleased to see him. I did not need any more, but
Right.
I was okay with that amount. I enjoyed him being, the builder of the Taj Mahal and everything. I thought it was very silly. Um, you know, unfortunately, I would say about that scene, they just before that scene had dialogue about like something, we have to hurry so the village isn't set back 200 years. And then
Oh,
this is
right.
how they depict mental health care. I was like,
Yeah.
and maybe this is the state of some, mental health hospitals. But I still was like, oh guys, you just said you
Right.
didn't want to set things backwards and then you did
Right.
it. But I
Yeah,
enjoyed him.
but
He was silly. It was fine.
but also I was like, well, does this mean that they're when they do 3-3 or whatever, we're gonna have to deal with him because I'm not on
Or
board for
is he the
that.
vampire that they seem to be
Oh, that is
spinning
going to be
off?
such a drag for me because given that I love Maddock's horror verse,
Yeah.
I would like to see because they're going to do Vampires of Vijayanagar, which they had me at the title. Vampires of Vijayanagar, of course I'm going to watch that. But if the Vampire of Vijayanagar is going to be Akshay Kumar, I'm like, really? You got to do me dirty like that? The whole point of Maddock Films making good movies and the whole point of this horror verse is that they have good writers, they have good talented directors, and they have good actors. Like I like Varun Dhawan, I really like Rajkumar Rao, I really like Abhishek Banerjee. And now if you're going to put Akshay Kumar, who's like the biggest hack around, if you're going to put him in a movie, then
Oh.
what's the point? We have to watch him anyway in these terrible movies that he does that sink without a trace. So yeah, I would like to write a strongly worded letter to Maddock Films about this.
I thought
They
he
just
I
hit
thought he was
delete.
fine. I didn't I mean I think other people could have done it, whatever. But
Yeah.
so you have seen Roohi and you did not like it, if I recall.
It was horrific. Have you seen it?
Yeah, I have. I don't remember it very well, but I did see it.
It was very bad. I had kind of middling expectations going in. I wasn't expecting Janvi Kapoor to do a good job, and I was right. She was terrible. But because it had Rajkumar Rao, I thought it would
Yeah.
be fine. And plus, like again, sign me up for any horror. I will always watch horror movies. I still want to watch Munjya. It didn't play at my local theater.
No, I don't think I even knew it was a thing. So I really have to get myself paying more attention to some things because I
I
I would
really
like
want
to
to
watch
watch
that.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, once it comes on streaming, I'll definitely catch up on it because I've heard good things about it. And anyway, I will always watch a horror movie. In fact, this
Mm.
would have been a great weekend for me because Alien Romulus is also playing and it looks
Oh.
absolutely horrific. And I want to watch that too.
They gave us all horror trailers before our show at, 9:30
Same.
in the morning. And I was, my friend and I were like, we're too chicken for this. No.
I loved it. We got Beetlejuice,
Yeah.
with and I was like, oh my god, that's Winona Ryder. And then we got Alien Romulus, which I'm very excited
Mm.
for, and and then we got like Transformers, so that's not horror. And
Oh.
then we got Reagan, which looked very very bad, and almost qualifies
Okay.
as horror if one thinks about his policies. It's like realistic horror. So yeah, what was I saying? Yeah, Ruhi was very bad. I thought it would be good because I like Rajkumar Rao, and I forget the name of the other actor in it, but
Yeah.
I thought he would be fine. Isn't his name Varun
Varun
something?
Varun Sharma.
Varun Sharma. I thought he would be fine. He was okay, but Janvi Kapoor just let everything down. She has one expression, which is basically like this fish face that she does. It's just basically like this is her expression. It's just this, no matter what. So there's a scene where she's being like abducted or whatever, and she's sitting in a chair and she has like ropes around her, and she has to like depict different emotions, right? Like she's sad, she's also angry, she's also like resentful, she's also like all the things. She's basically like for everything. And I saw Ruhi on streaming and I was screaming at the TV. I was like, do something, like do something. She was so bad. Ruhi was a giant misstep, I would say, that Maddock did. And they should not be casting Janvi Kapoor in anything.
So at this point,
Um,
you're kind of 3 for 5 for
yeah,
Maddock horror, but
yes,
with Munjia being an unknown at this point. But
right. So yeah, I'm excited about what else that they're gonna do. Did you like the scenes that they had in kind of like that lava world that they created? I
ah,
really liked those.
they were fine.
I enjoyed those because I was like, ooh, where are they going? Where's they going to take them? Because
And
there's that big rock.
I don't think I've seen much lava in Hindi films before. So that
Yes.
was, aren't there volcanoes in India?
No, I don't think so. I've
Because I was
not
like,
heard
why
of
have
a
I never seen
volcano
lava
in
before? And
India.
I feel like I'm trying to remember. I feel like, believe it or not, I'm trying to remember if the big finale in Janoon, the tiger one, the were tiger one, is there maybe lava in the end of that? I was trying to remember, but
Maybe.
despite all the horror movies I've watched, I don't feel like I've seen a 70s villain, whatever, whatever. There's not often lava. I guess Sean has something kind of like, or
Yeah.
is that just water? I know, but so occasionally you get it, but not super often, and I was glad to see it.
In fact, I don't even think there's a Hindi word for lava. I don't
They
know
said
any.
lava, right? In
They said
the
lava.
English word, yeah.
And I think they'll say things like aag ka uh bulbula or something, like, but those are not like like a word. It's just like a descriptive word for
Hmm.
volcano. I don't think there's a single like active
Hmm.
word. Definitely not an active. I don't even think
That's
there's a
interesting.
dormant volcano. But if you want to see lots of volcanoes and lava, then you just have to look at 80s movie posters.
Yes.
Especially anything with Sunny Deol in it, there's always going to be like a volcano and explosions and molten lava, so you can get your fill that way.
Yeah. It's a graphic
Um,
design element more than
it's
a
very
set
much.
element.
Yes, and a
I'm all for it.
typography element
Yes.
for sure.
Yeah, all for it.
But I loved it. I thought it was so cool. And the scene where he's like trying to cross those like rocks to get to the other side, it gave me just enough jump scares.
Me
That's the
too.
thing about the direction and also Rajkumar Rao's character, is that I really enjoyed all of those little things. And I think it works because he's so like anti hero,
Mm,
not anti-hero as in gray shades, anti-hero as in there's nothing heroic about him.
mm.
He's just this kind of like ordinary tailor from a small town in Madhya Pradesh, and he's kind of a weenie, but he rises to the occasion when needed.
Yeah.
And he also doesn't look imposing,
No,
but he's so endearing and
he
so
is
sweet, and
endearing.
you
Yeah.
want so badly for him to succeed. And so when he was like tripping a little, and I was like, do you think you can make it to the other side without falling into the lava, please? I just thought he was darling in that. And
Yeah.
I really liked the world that they created inside that rock. It reminded me a tiny bit, not the lava portion, but it reminded me a little bit of, have you seen the horror movie It?
No,
Oh, okay.
absolutely not. No.
So in it,
Oh,
like, it steals you
yeah.
from the world, like through the sewer grates and stuff,
Yeah.
right? And it takes you
Yeah.
down, so there's this whole world underneath. So I was like,
Yeah.
oh, it's like this different other world that's like just hidden. And I love the little quips and the jokes where he was like, does Madhya Pradesh tourism know about this place? Like,
That was
we could
great.
make so much money.
That was
Yeah,
great.
I loved all those little lines that they came up with. There was just so much humor in this movie.
I feel like they never what's the word? I want to say suspended, and I don't mean stopped. I mean strung along like from two
Hmm,
posts. The horror never lasted very long, right? It was
right.
like little dollops.
Hmm.
And I was wondering what it would have been like had they made a more extended horror sequence or two. Now, for viewers like
Mm.
me, what they did was great because I was a little scared and then it went away. And it gave me enough time
Right.
to build up my tolerance for the horrible, disgusting head. Um,
He was so horrible.
he was so horrible. And I love just the focus on his appetites, right? Like he was just this disgusting teeth and everything. Like that was so much
Yeah.
what that guy was appetites.
And
Um,
just the constant screaming. At one point, I was like, will you stop with the
use your
screaming?
words, sir.
Yeah. He
This would
never
be more
used
efficient.
words. He just had these like bulging eyes that reminded me of Amrish Puri. And he
Yeah.
just had this constantly screaming face. It's like, the Kala Patthar poster where Amitabh Bachchan
Hmm.
is like, it was
Yeah.
like that, but very frightening.
But well, I don't know, would you have liked some longer, more extended horror sequences, or did you like the way it was sort of maybe
I
not quite
like the
peppered, but
way
something like that?
I like the way it was, because I
Yeah.
think part of what makes three so watchable, and what makes three two so watchable for me, was there's this movie has so many elements to it.
Yeah.
Like, it's not just horror; it's the comedy part of it. There's the romance,
Yeah.
unrequited love part of it. I even really love the friendship part of it. Like the
Yes.
whole bromance that the quartet
So
has going
good.
on. And then I hope
Yeah.
Bosky can be their friend too.
I
So
know.
then it's like five friends. I even like the family kind of elements to it, like Jenna's mom, who basically threatens to beat them up because she's
Yeah.
like, I literally tried to keep you away from my child because like you are so horrible. And I love that scene where they first meet Jenna and they're like, why didn't you respond to any of her messages? And he's like, my mom wants me to study for the IAS exams, and she deleted all my contacts and she blocked everybody. And Apar Shakti Khurana is like, for a girl, you're going to abandon your friends? And he's like, she's my mom.
That was very funny.
It was so funny. And then even like the little things where he's kind of shown a little bit silly and dim-witted. And once or twice when he makes some comments and Pankaj Tripathi looks at him and he's kind of like, you're preparing for the IAS? Really? How's that going?
Yeah.
So I really kind of enjoyed the camaraderie and the love that they have for each other. Oh my God, the scene where they thought that Jana died, even though that was absolutely 100% Pankaj Tripathi, Apar Shakti Khurana, and Rajkumar Rao's fault. Like they're 100% to blame for it. But when Rajkumar Rao is so bereft and he's
Yeah.
like trying to give him CPR and he's trying to like do the thing and everything, it was so sad. And I was like, oh my God, I hope Jenna gets up. It was so sweet when he actually got up. So there was like a lot of emotional depth to this movie that I
Hmm.
really liked. And then the scenes of them like on the motorbike together, and then the scenes where they're like dancing along the river and they're feeding him all like burgers and stuff like that. It was very sweet. So I feel like if they had just made it horror all the time, it wouldn't have been as feel good as it
Yeah.
was.
Yeah.
I mean, if I just want to watch straight up horror, I can just watch Alien Romulus, and I will.
Right.
So that was really sweet to me, I thought.
There are two people we have not talked about yet.
Ooh,
One, Shraddha Kapoor, is also in this film.
is she?
We we haven't really discussed her. I thought she was totally fine.
Yeah, I thought she was totally fine, but I also was like, you could have cast
Oh
anyone.
yeah. But same with true with the original, right? So
Yeah,
I understand why they wanted to bring her back, but that could have been anyone.
yeah. I
But it
mean,
was
she was
written that
fine.
way.
Yeah, it was written that way. And she was fine. It was the same feeling I had with Kriti Sanon in Bhediya, where I
Yep.
was kind of like, okay, I
Yeah.
mean, fine, but
Yeah.
anyone else could have been there. Um, she is no match for Rajkumar Rao, man. It's
No,
just
she's
like
not. But I didn't think she was as lacking opposite him as I was worried. And maybe that's him doing some really interesting heavy
maybe.
lifting. Could have been worse. Could have been way worse.
Could have been worse. I did like her entry. She got a very like masala hero
Hmm.
entry, which was a lot of fun. I enjoyed her choti and the way she's using that.
Yeah.
It was so cool. It was like a
Very fun.
lasso,
Hmm.
basically, and it's like this electric choti. And I was like, oh
Yeah.
my
That
God,
was
that is like
cool.
so super heroic and cool.
Note to everyone for your Halloween costume, should you need one. It'd be
Yes,
easy to
I'm
run
actually
some
wondering
little
if I should
LED
be Stree
lights,
because I have a little choti. So I could put like, I could
battery
string some
pack
like,
LED, and
yeah.
off you go. Then
So
the other, oh, go ahead.
and then I also really liked her styling. I
I did
love,
too. Yeah.
yeah,
Can
I
we
loved
talk
her
about
little.
the clothes in this movie?
She wore
I have
these little
questions.
churidars with like these mojis, and she wore these little tiny jackets, and she had
Yeah.
her choti in her hair, and she had like the caul, and she had the big nose ring and the jhumkas. I thought she looked absolutely adorable. And
Hmm.
I will say one thing about her casting that I like. I like that Shraddha Kapoor's face is very, very innocent. She
Mm.
looks very girl next door, and she's so petite and so tiny and so cute, for lack of a better word, that she does not look like she could whoop your ass.
Right.
So when she does whoop Sarkata's ass, it's very satisfying to see,
Yeah.
but also like a little bit surprising and cool. Whereas there's other actresses that, due to their physicality, due to the way they look, due to their facial expressions, like Tabu comes to mind, I have no problems believing that Tabu can whoop someone's ass, or Ravina Tandon for that matter. Like
Hmm.
Ravina Tandon in what was that movie with the weird tiger in it?
Yeah.
Starts with an A. Aranyak.
Aran, Aranyak.
Aranyak. Like her, like she was so badass in it.
Yeah.
So the fact that Shraddha Kapoor just looks kind of like innocent and dainty and cute, and she wears these like cute little outfits.
Yeah.
Um, I think that's good casting because it makes it that much more satisfying when she does these like high kicks and jumps and like beats people up.
I am also intrigued by the clothing that the four main men were wearing. So Pankaj Tripathi, of course, has the sort of book nerd professorial sort of
Yeah.
long plaid coat. I really liked what they gave him. But then I was,
He's
and
very uncle. He's very uncle coded.
Bitu, of course, has the most eye-scarring denim you can imagine, which I feel like I have seen tastes of when I've been in India. The teenage guys who are just roaming around or
Yeah.
whatever, wearing some horrible denim. And
All
then
he missed, all he lacked was the one streak of blonde
oh yeah,
that some of the boys love,
that was
like
great.
along with the horrible denim and the
Yes,
bracelets that they wear.
it
And for
was
some
great.
reason, the moonstone bracelet that Salman Khan has is very popular in that crowd. But he just lacked that one streak of caramel blonde that looks
Was
hideous.
it this movie where someone sprays on what looks like 10 whole seconds of Axe body spray?
Rajkumar Rao.
He does that. Yeah. And I was like, oh, that tracks to me for this
He's
guy.
just like,
And then what did you make of? So I thought it was interesting that they had a tailor wearing ready to wear stuff covered in zippers and like things that were stitched
yeah.
together in interesting, like kind of Frankenstein shirts. I felt like that was very on purpose, but I'm not sure what I would read into it. But I was interested in it. He had a very specific style with all his hoodies
Yeah.
and things.
I don't know what that was supposed to be, but I do know what you're talking about
Yeah.
because maybe as a tailor he appreciates things that are kind of like a little bit
I
over
wonder, or
designed.
maybe he made them. I don't know. They didn't
Maybe, I
seem
don't
to be.
know.
I don't know. We don't see
And
him doing
then
any tailoring really, so except the waist.
yeah. Oh, that was such a sad scene. Made me so angry when all the women come to him with their fashionable blouses and they're like, make it a high neck. And he's like, why would you want a high neck? You wanted the Kareena Kapoor blouse. And they're like,
Yeah,
no, make it really high necked and cover
because
up the back. And I was
they're
like,
afraid.
it
Yeah,
was so infuriating. I was like, no, you should wear the teeny tiniest, stringiest thing you want to wear. And anyone who has a problem with it can just avert their eyes.
and hopefully you
Um,
won't get kidnapped into another world and
yeah,
treated like a widow.
exactly. It was so horrible. Um,
We have not
I,
talked about Pankaj Tripathi.
yeah,
And after Murder Mubarak, I don't remember what I said on the podcast, but in my memory, I was kind of like, okay, because he's a little oversaturated with certain kinds of roles. I really enjoyed seeing him in this. This has kind of
yeah,
revived my affection for him. I do
yeah,
think he's really good. So it's not that,
yeah,
oh, he's taking up space other people should be filling. It's just kind of like, oh, there's a lot of him.
yeah.
But this was
I
the right
remember what,
amount.
yeah, I remember what you had said. So you
Mm.
had said, note to filmmakers, not every film needs Pankaj Tripathi.
And it's true. They don't.
It's true.
I
And I
stand by
think
that.
what's happening with Pankaj Tripathi, apart from the oversaturation point, is also that he basically has gotten typecast. So he's playing that same avuncular guy that we see who's like smart and all the things. And when it's right and when it's fun, it's very right and it's very fun, as in this.
Yeah.
But it's just kind of like, maybe let's see more, maybe let's see different things from you. He's very, very typecast at this
It
point.
probably helps that the most recent thing I've seen him, or the thing I've seen him in most recently was actually Omkara, where he plays a very
Mm,
different type of character. So that was a good reset
yeah,
for me because he's not there very much also. And then so
yeah.
but I was actually
It's
glad to see him.
it's also kind of like I feel like they cast him because I mean obviously he's super talented and he's good at whatever he does, but I also don't know who else is good in that uncle character. Like Vijay Raz is too edgy. I think he could do it, but he's a little too edgy for
Yeah.
that.
You could
Nawaz
do,
is too successful
yeah,
to
and
want
you
to do
need
something like
someone
this.
who sort of is easy to overlook. And Nawaz and Vijay Raz are both too distinctive looking, I
They're
think.
too
Like you wouldn't
distinctive.
you wouldn't see that face and then forget it. But like the guy who played Vicky's dad, that guy could be this
Right.
guy. Like there's a
Yeah.
bunch of uncles out there.
Maybe
So
Baman Irani.
yeah, he I mean, it's the things he's in, but he so often goes way too comedic uncle,
Yeah.
and so if he had brought that energy to this, it would have been very distracting. I'm not saying he would necessarily do that, but that he
Right.
does tend to do that, I guess, because of
He
the films
tends
he
to ham.
chooses.
Yeah, he
Yeah,
tends
so
to
we
be
need
hammy.
it's a very, like, this was a, I think you could say that Pankaj Tripathi was hamming a little, but it was very specific and very directed. So
Yeah.
I think Bowman Irani could do it. I would be a little, I'm sure I have to think about it, but I bet there's someone I would prefer to him just because of the baggage he brings with him.
Yeah.
But
And then I wouldn't pick Gajraj Rao either because Gajraj Rao is just too mousy,
yeah,
for lack of a better
yeah,
word. And I just don't see him as like bookseller, voracious reader, professorial uncle,
yeah.
So I mean, it's almost like by process of elimination, you end up again at Pankaj
Pankaj
Tripathi.
Tripathi. Ah!
It's like these are our options. Let's just go with Pankaj
Tell us
Tripathi.
in the comments who else is there other than Pankaj Tripathi, because there's got to be literally dozens of these guys.
Yeah.
So I uh I was thinking, since we had our
Ooh,
fairly recent
I also wanted to say real quick that I
yeah,
loved how he tries to go on, he goes on these tangents where he's like sipping. He's like, alcohol in moderation is really not that bad. And they're like, can you save it for another day? And then when they find the chitty is lost, and then the homeless person is like, oh yeah, there was a headless man who is, and he's like, oh, I have a book and I have a bookshop. And in my bookshop, if you order from me, you can get a 5% discount. And they're like, really, is this the time and place? Like, I love his talent for self promotion
yeah,
and self justification at the most inopportune times.
very uncle,
Very uncle,
very
but I
uncle.
adored it.
I also loved his little touches of when he's remembering his, lost love and everything. He's just like,
Yeah.
hi, that kind of thing. Like, he's really good at that. I thought that was very charming.
Also, that is not a couple I'm buying by any stretch of the imagination.
No, so that I was extra confused because at first when I saw her, I'm like, that's Tamina, and I was like, she too young for him. But although
Yeah.
he is younger than I am, so he's not, as I know, he's not even 50. He looks older, I would say. I know. I
I'm
know.
very shocked right now.
I know. He's a couple years younger than I am. So he's
Okay,
between
I don't
us.
want his skincare regimen.
I assume cigarettes are involved. I don't know, but yeah, so I mean, he looks fine, but he does not look like he's still in his 40s, I would say.
No,
But
he's, oh, wow.
we
Okay.
need some of the other people like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's good.
You were saying something when I interrupted you
I
because I told you about
it's
Pankaj's
it's
tangents.
gone and that's totally okay because
Okay.
overall I thought this movie was really fun and I don't have a whole lot of thinky thoughts about it other
Yeah.
than the metaphor of, destructive
Mhm.
patriarchy and things like that, which I was happy
Were
to see taken
you
on.
were you expecting the romantic angle? Because it kind of took me by surprise, the whole unrequited love between Rajkumar Rao and Shraddha.
No, I guess not, but also I hadn't rewatched the first one recently enough to have steam building off of it to take forward into
Right.
this film, other than a general goodwill and
Mm.
like moderate to high expectations, since I thought the first one was really good. So I assumed this would be too. But
Yeah.
yeah, in terms of their character arc, I was fine with it, but I also didn't really care. It
Mm.
was fine.
I didn't care about them as a pairing, but Rajkumar Rao really has a way of
Yeah.
tugging at the heartstrings. He's so earnest. And in those scenes, you just kind of want him to be happy. It made me really sad
Yeah.
for him. I also enjoyed the birds and the bees conversation that his dad tried to have with him, and he was not having it. That kind
Yeah.
of cracked me up a little bit as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. What are what are some of your favorite Rajkumar Rao performances? Because I came away from this movie with even greater
Well,
appreciation
let
for his
me
talent.
you say some of yours and I'm going to look up his filmography really fast because he's done so many more things than I think he has. I need to
Yeah,
look at the list.
I really still enjoy him in Bareli Ki Barfi. I still really
Yes.
enjoy his small but very important role in Queen, where he's such a jerk off.
So
Uh,
awful. Yeah.
he's so smug and nasty in Queen. I just want
He's
to slap him.
he's deliciously horrible in Love, Sex, or Doka. Toka.
Yes, so good. I have not
uh,
seen Newton yet, but I really want to.
amazing.
Oh,
Definitely
yes.
watch
Okay.
Newton.
Okay.
I don't remember him from Gangs of Wasseypur too, I have to admit, but I'm sure he was good. I've never been able to get through Kai Poche. I'm sorry. I can't
Oh,
do
I
it.
have watched
Ugh.
Kepoche, but I don't particularly remember the movie because it was just kind of like meh. I just really like the songs from that movie, and obviously I like Sushant Singh Rajput in it and
Yeah,
him in it, and I remember wasn't Amrita Puri in it too? But
I
that
don't
movie
know.
just never made enough of an impact on me to particularly care about Rajkumar Rao in it. To me, it's a Sushant Singh Rajput
Right,
movie.
right.
Yeah,
I haven't seen Aligar only because I
I have
think
not.
you need to watch this when you are
Yes.
clear-eyed, ready to absorb and learn and think. And when I'm in that mode, I'm usually watching something for this this podcast. So maybe we should do an episode on it so I can watch it.
Yeah.
But I'm sure it's amazing. I haven't seen Trapped. Yeah, Barley Barfi. I think he's great. Newton is
Yeah.
great. I liked him in Fane Khan, which that movie is 6 years old. Where did the last 5 years go? I just
I
don't
have
understand.
never seen Funny Khan. And you know what's funny? About 2 weeks ago, my husband and I were at this Indian restaurant, and the food is really good. And they had this, as many Indian restaurants do, they had like the TV with like Bollywood songs playing on it.
Mm-hmm.
And my husband was facing the TV and he just like stopped mid-meal and he was staring at it and kind of scowling. And I was like, what are you scowling at? And he's like, is that Rajkumar Rao with Aishwarya Rai? And I was like, oh, it's
Yes, it
probably Funny
is.
Khan. I didn't
Yes,
even
it
turn
is.
around.
It's
And he was
cute.
like, why are they a pair? I'm like, I can't answer that question because I've not seen the film. And he was just like, I am not on board with this pairing. And then he kept eating his food
She's fun in that as a just
as a pop star.
yeah, pop star. And you're like, yeah, she brings the right diva to this. He's great in Ludo. He's great
Hmm.
in Chalang, I feel is a film that didn't I thought that didn't make a whole lot of impact, but that's a good one, I think.
Is that
He's
a sports movie?
he's a PE teacher. Yeah.
Okay. I've
Um
not seen this movie.
but Haido, of course. I think that might be my
Yes.
favorite of his, honestly. He's really good in Monica, oh my darling, too. So
Yeah.
he really, but he's got some real stinkers in here too, like Shimla Murchi. That I tried to watch that. It was terrible. Made in China. I think I tried that one too and couldn't get into
I've
it. I would
not
love
even
to
heard
know.
of these two
He's got
films.
a lot of these kind of more, some of them are kind of more typical romantic-y sort of things. I do not know if they were filmed close to their release date. They have the stank of
Mm.
filmed earlier, got shelved for a while to them.
Mm.
I'm not speaking from a great deal of experience with these films, but that's my impression based on what I've seen. So,
Okay.
and I will just say, I did get to meet Rajkumar Rao in person at Sunny Deol's theater, and
Nice.
he was very nice, and he wanted to talk about Satyajit Ray with me, and I was like, "Sir, I'll talk about that with you all day long." And then someone
Did
like
you
came in
pet
and
him?
swooped him away, so I did not get to talk about that with him very long.
Did you pet him though?
No,
Okay.
no.
You never even petted Farooq Sheikh.
No, I think that there's a very limited number of, of Bollywood stars that that one could even think about petting.
Petting.
This is a terrible topic. Leave a comment if you feel like this should be a special Q&A. With permission, with consent. Oh my God, this is so wrong. But no, I did not. I
Okay.
did not.
I did enjoy the lullaby that they sing for Chitti.
That's from,
Soft kitty, Big Bang Theory.
yeah.
Soft
I mean, it's
kitty,
not
little
really. It's
ball
from
of fur, purr, purr, purr.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Chitti
did.
cracked me up. I was like, what is this girl shtick? Like, what does she do? She goes for runs, she drinks protein shakes, and then she gets
She is
random people
too
to sing
modern.
lullabies to her.
She's too modern.
I did like the part though where she tells Rajkumar Rao that he should just like leave the town.
I have one thing I want to say about Chitty's abduction scene, which
Hmm.
was A, I was scared, but that was, early on in the film. But B, when the head slams into the door and leaves the impression of its face in the door, I thought that was well done and I was very upset by it. And then nobody commented on it when they come see the ruins. I was like, I know there's like a human-shaped hole in the wall very conveniently, the way brick always works in movies, but I was like, guys, look at the door, look at the door, look at the door. It's a face. Someone slammed their face into the door. That's really specific and weird.
It was very like Play-Doh-y.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that was good.
Poor Chitty.
But also, can we talk about the way this movie opens? I love the opening scene. It
It
was
was good.
so effectively
Yeah.
creepy, and it had this sense of like impending doom. And I
Oh
was
yeah.
kind of on the edge of my seat. I loved how this like random girl, like she comes on screen, and I was like, do I know
Yeah.
her? Is
Who
she an
you?
actress?
I
Yeah,
know.
I was like, are you important? And then she comes and she's smoking. And then in the distance, you see this weird thing like just rolling towards her. And as I always think when I'm watching horror movies, random object that you do not recognize comes rolling towards you or hurling towards you or jumping towards you. You should just step away and say no thank you very much and go inside your house and close the door. You should not be picking it up. But this girl has not seen enough horror movies, unlike me, and therefore she picks it up. And I was like, girl, why you gotta do that?
I'm not even sure if you need horror specific knowledge to maybe not pick up a hairy round thing.
No,
Like
do not.
if it's clearly hair and not like a tumbleweed of plant material, leave it alone. Now, I'm not sure if
It
that would
was
have
so
saved
gross.
her, but it might have extended her chances a little bit.
Possibly,
Although
yeah.
she was smoking, so she was,
Yeah, but I remember from my days in New York City where like all the subways and everything,
oh,
they would always have this thing plastered where it would
oh,
say, if you see something, say something. And I was like, if you see something, say something. Don't pick up the head, walk
no.
away, call the police and say something. That is what you're supposed to do. Because like
Yeah.
even, do you remember when the whole anthrax thing was happening? And it was the same thing. If you see something, say something, and then don't open your mail and don't open random packages. You just don't open random packages or pick up random
And
things.
unfortunately,
Nobody told her this.
that advice has led to the rise of the Karen, unfortunately, who have seen
Oh,
nothing but still say a lot of things. But
yeah. Okay. Well, do you have any theories as to why the ladies, once they were captured in the lava cave, I want to call it the lava cave, they were wearing white saris like a widow, and their heads were shaved? What was there
I mean,
a
I assume that's
reason
just
for
the
that?
ultimate mark of you cannot rejoin the world as you knew it, and
Mm,
you are basically in a widow's ashram,
banished,
but it's the worst widow's ashram ever.
right?
So
And
you
also a
cannot
counterpoint.
rejoin, and we'll
And
take
also
away your
an
modern clothes, we'll take away your signs of vanity, all that jazz, no
right,
accessories and no motion, right?
right.
They're basically inanimate at that point.
Oh God. Because it was also a counterpoint to Stree's red outfit,
Yeah.
right? Like she wears that red bridal
She's so
outfit.
mobile. She's like freakishly fast and
Yeah.
everything. Yeah, they were a
She's
really
so
good contrast to
fast.
her. Yeah, I was
Okay.
very, very pleased with how they, I mean, I'm not pleased for those characters, but I thought
Right.
visually and sort of as an image in the movie, it worked as a concept in the movie. The holding pen for these women was really, and then when
Hmm.
their energy was connected to Stree's daughter, I really liked that
Yeah.
as well.
It was also really sad. It's like, because you see these women that have a certain personality. Like there's Tamanna, she's a dancer, she's kind of a diva,
Hmm.
she has,
Hmm.
she's kind of coquettish. And then there's Chitty, who's like funny and silly and modern and has all these ideas. And then they're all reduced to this like uniform sameness, and that has taken away their entire individuality. And that was so
Yeah.
sad and horrible,
Yeah.
also.
Yeah.
I was also very pleased with the special effects in this movie because I'm old enough to have watched a lot of the older Indian movies in real time, like when they were released.
Yeah.
And some of the special effects back then used to be so bad. Like I still remember when Krish came out and they were. Rakesh Roshan was telling the press how he had hired the people from Independence Day, like some Hollywood people, to do the CGI and the VFX and stuff. And like Bollywood CGI and special effects has come a long way.
Hmm.
And I wanted to see who they had credited. Like I was like, is it Red
Mm.
Chilies, or like who has done it? It was really good. I thought the werewolf was really
Pretty good.
good.
Yeah.
He was very fluffy, and this
So
is how we
fluffy.
know I would not survive in a horror movie,
Oh no,
because I wanted to snuggle him. I was
I
like, he
know.
looks like the most adorable husky ever,
Just let him
and I
do
want to
his
take him
fighting, and
home.
then you can pet Varun Dhawan.
This is true. There's a pettable movie star. We can pet him in his husky avatar. We can pet
Mm,
him
mm,
before he bites us at the jugular and then turns us into vampires
that's right.
or werewolves or whatever he's gonna do. Um, are there any horror concepts that you would like Maddock Horrorverse to explore in future films? We know they're doing vampires and Vampires of
Yeah,
Vijayanagar. They've already done a werewolf.
I'm
What
not
other thing
I'm
are you
probably not well
interested in?
versed enough in all the horror things to say I'm never ever going to be sad if someone wants to do an ancient Egyptian
Yes,
mummified human curse type of deal. I will put in the caveat here that I do not know how Egyptians feel about this, and if
right.
they're probably sick of it at the very least, and I can imagine it's quite offensive a lot of times. So I don't mean to be
Yeah.
promoting something offensive, but as a horror type that I have seen, I have enjoyed it. But you can also do that, but also I
Also,
love the
it gives you an opportunity to watch an archaeologist.
yes, and an ancient Egyptian spectacle is good.
Yes.
There is a Southern Indian film with an ancient Egyptian angle to it that I'm not remembering, and Jackie
Oh,
Shroff is in it as one of the bad guys. And I think
okay.
Sonu Sood is there. Is it Sonu Sood or is it Jimmy Shergill? Those are not the same guy, I realize, but they pop up
Yeah.
in random things kind of in the same way in my mind. Um, anyway, um, yeah, I'm probably happy with basically anything. Yeah.
I'd like to see some poltergeist activity. I enjoy
Mm.
poltergeists a lot. That would be fun.
So what defines a poltergeist?
Poltergeists are these like demonic or evil entities that they're not like super evils. They're not like out to really get you, but they're like annoying enough because they like drop things in your house and they make things fall and stuff like that.
Do
So
they,
that could be very fun for a comedy movie.
yeah, they're kind of like a gremlin then maybe.
Yeah, basically.
Do they
So that would be
possess
fun.
people?
I don't think they do.
Okay.
As horror, as evil spirits go, they're kind of low on the totem pole
Okay.
to the point where they're just like annoying. They're not like bad to like a really high level
I
of
I
badness.
also think that in a country that has as many crowd-based um dangerous situations and even just day-to-day life as a lot of India does, more
Mhm.
zombie films are always welcome. I feel like you could do a lot more
Yes.
with zombies. The ones we've had, Go Go Gone and Zombie both excellent. I
Mhm.
think you could do some more with that.
Yeah, that could be really good too. The only thing I would maybe not want the Maddock Horrors to do is exorcism based things, just because
Mm,
there is such a horrible subset of Indian society that believes in concepts like possession, which is almost always people who have mental illness.
mm,
And it always involves like, going to some sort of weird fraudulent person who's going to like exorcise you and things like that. And I fear that if they made a movie that featured things like exorcisms, it would just kind of like encourage those sort of rubbish superstitions and frankly dangerous behavior. So that's the
yeah.
only thing I would like them not to touch with a barge pole. But I was gonna say, you and I would definitely love some kind of snaky
Oh, of course. Yeah,
ichadhari
yeah, yeah,
naggin
yeah, yeah.
thing.
All
That would be great. Yes,
anytime, and it can be anyone.
yes.
Um,
Because it has been a
yeah,
while. It has been a while since we have got our share of like Nagin and Nagina
especially
and
an
all of those things.
A-list person
Yes.
or production kind of taking it
Yeah.
on. I think, yeah, the time has come. Maddock Films, please.
Yes.
We have
Bebo.
guidelines we can give you as to how to make a good one of these, the elements you need.
We can be
Um,
consultants.
sure, sure. Yeah, sneak movie.
Snake movie starring Bebo. That is my wish. If Santa Claus is real and he's listening, he will give
Listen,
me that for
you could bring
Christmas.
in, so obviously Zero is not a lot of our favorite movies, but
No.
it did have all those cameos by those amazing women stars.
Mm.
So you could line up like 30
Yes.
amazing women who don't act very much anymore. And it could be like in Om Shanti Om, when everyone comes out and has their little turn, they could each do it. And maybe they're fighting the snake charmer, or maybe they're, gearing up for a fight, or maybe they're just having a party, whatever. But you could have everyone come in and do some
So
snake
good.
moves, and it would be
Zenith Aman could come in and she could be like the older Nagin
Dimple
lady, Dimple, and she can just show her beautiful hair. And then Vahida she can reprise her snake dance from Guide.
and Vijanti Mala.
That would be amazing. Vishnutimala is literally still dancing on
I
the
know.
stage in Chennai.
Hema
Like she still
Malini
does
can do it.
Bharatanatyam.
Like
Yes.
all of the dancing stars from your, and even the non-dancing stars can come out and do a few snake steps.
Yes.
Like all the women can do this. Aruna
Yes.
Irani,
Yes.
Helen,
Bindu. Bindu could still do it
Bindu.
too. Oh,
This is so
Beth,
much better
I think
than
we're on to
this is
something.
so much better than Tiag or Is It? Unless we want
So
to
much
turn
better.
Tiag or Is It into a snake movie. We haven't really talked about
Yes.
that, but
Tyag and zzz.
snake movie, snake movie.
And then they can, all the big male stars can come and they can just do the little snake dancing step that is popular in all Indian barats.
And then they get bitten and they die. Just remake Nagin.
Just not Shah Rukh. I don't
Ooh,
want Shah Rukh to die.
I
Please,
bet
not,
Rena
not
Roy is
him though.
still Rena Roy could do it.
She can still do it. Yeah. This is so much fun. We need this. We need to somehow get our message sent to Maddock Films. Anybody who has any contact information from Maddock Films, Beth and I have
Please.
some excellent ideas. Please contact us. We will help you out. We won't even charge you any money,
No.
honestly. We just want petting rights.
And it has the indigenous folklore and
Yes.
mythology of India. Like you don't have to
Beth,
insert
the
anything.
costumes.
The costumes will be
The
phenomenal.
costumes. There will be so many sequins. There will be so many pearls. There would be so much headgear.
I also want Ramya Krishna in it.
Oh,
I've
yeah.
seen her in a snake movie. It was very low budget, I think, and she's fun, but like let's get her in there. She'd be amazing.
Juhi Chawla has been in a snake movie, Tum Mere Ho, which I
Mm-hmm.
insisted on Khandan covering with
Mm-hmm.
me. And then, to my great sadness, Madhuri Dixit has never been in a snake movie. She is such a great
Oh.
dancer. Can you imagine what a great snake movie she would be in? Maybe she can be the person who is like the
And we
main
know she
person
can
in our
take
snake
angry
movie.
revenge. Like she could be the
Yes.
snake ma, and she and maybe her snake daughter could team up and wipe out the bad guys. Oh, I want this so much.
I want this so much for
Maddock Films,
us.
hear our cry.
Mayavi Shakti, we channel you. Okay, did you have any closing thoughts on Stree too? Or
No,
Stree in
no,
general?
it's great. Go see it if you
Okay.
haven't, although you
Yes.
hopefully have already seen it since we were so spoilery for the most part. But
Yeah.
and I think, based on the fact that I saw it with a friend who has been out of the Bollywood loop for quite a while, I suspect this would translate pretty well to people who like horror movies, even if they haven't seen any Indian ones. So I see
Yeah.
it as an easily shareable film, should you wish, or if anyone asks you like, hey, I've never seen Bollywood, what should I watch? Take them to this, or just
Yeah.
sit them down with
It's
the first one.
also a good movie in that even though it's a sequel, it does stand alone quite
I think
well. I
so.
think
Yeah, my friend
they
seemed
did a good
fine.
job of telling you like what the prequel had in it.
Yeah,
It's not like a Ponniyin Selvan 2 where you need
no,
to like really
Lord.
reread the wiki entries for Ponniyin Selvan 1 before you walk in and you're still confused. So yeah, I think this was like a win on many, many fronts. And if you all have not seen Stree 2 or Stree, you should go watch both of them and tell us what you think in the comments and tell us what horror subsets you enjoy. We are very excited to hear that from you, and hopefully, you will help us in manifesting our snake movie. Thank you for watching Filmi Ladies, and we will see you next week.